We're live.
Welcome, Youngzers, episode 47. Pretty stellar week, I guess. Not really stellar, but decent week. Pittsburgh sports. Pretty quiet on the hockey and football fronts, but we got a little baseball to talk about. I know Dan wants to get in on it. He has some opinions to rattle off, and rightfully so. We need to get some opinions going on some baseball. See if we can agree to disagree or agree to agree. Just an average week from the Buccos, I'd say. Probably could have taken one more at least from the Oakland Athletics. Disappointing to lose that series, but looking at what they did to the Brewers, they swept the Brewers, which puts the Pirates back into first place of the NL Central. So that's kind of the big news of the week, I guess we could talk about. But anyway, I'll give you guys the floor. What's going on, guys?
Go ahead, Motts.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll let you go, Dan.
Okay. It was a decent week for the Buccos. I mentioned we're just gonna get right into it here. Mentioned I wanted them to go 7-2 on the homestand. They went 6-3. That's not terrible. You're playing over 500 ball there on the homestand, which is good. Like I was talking to a guy at work, and it was like pulling teeth with that guy. He wanted to say, "Oh, how do they lose to the Athletics? How do they lose the Athletics?" So, well, the Athletics aren't going to go 0-162 in the year. They're gonna get streaky. It's very common for teams to get on, 5-6 game win streaks, even if you're the bottom of the barrel. And I understand that you don't want to play down to those teams, and you want to sweep them. It's hard to sweep series in MLB. I think if they take one more from Oakland, I feel a little bit better. But I think 6-3 altogether. You sweep the Cards, you take 2 or 3 from the Mets, who you're battling for a wild card position coming into that series. I think that bodes well. Bats were hot, and then they weren't. I still think it at the dish is their biggest weak point. They're very inconsistent. Was it the last game against Oakland? They were 0 for 13 with runners in scoring position. You can't have that.
No, you can't. I think you hit the nail on the head. I agree with you there. It's like when the bats do show up, it's, all hell breaks loose. They put up like 14 runs against the Mets. I think 14 or 15 on Friday night.
14.
Yep. It's either you get that or you get a game like today where you get 2 runs, or some games you get 1, like last night. They played, I think they lost 5-1. So it's just the inconsistency that kind of bugs me, like right when you think things are figured out, I think now we expect things to just puddle out for a game or two once they get one of those 14 run games, I think that as the season goes on, hopefully that maybe doesn't happen as frequently, but we're in the middle of June almost. So I don't know if it's going to be a consistent thing now or if they start to turn things around, but it seems like just 1 or 2 guys get hot at a given time. Like right now it's Sawinski and Hayes, I'd say, are the two hot bats, but it's never those. You need like maybe 5-6 guys to be hot, at the same time, kind of to have, a good stretch, which they had that in the first month of the year. But I don't know. It's just the bats aren't getting hot at the same time, and it's troublesome, especially with runners in scoring position.
I agree, and I'm just so for the record, I'm staying hydrated this week, so we don't have any issues. But no, I think the 2 weaknesses, the first being the most glaring, I think starting pitching's turning into a big weakness just from a depth standpoint.
Injuries,
Ronzi Day is officially canceled. He's in the bullpen. Oviedo's been looking good. Rich Hill, Mitch Keller's kind of had a couple iffy outings. Nothing terrible, but he was on a really big hot streak to start the year, and they don't have much in AAA. I believe it's Oswaldo Vibo coming up to pitch. A 4.55, I think, ERA in AAA right now. 28 years old, making his debut. So, I mean, that's just average AAA depth. That's nothing special. But I think one thing a lot of people aren't talking about really that's getting overshadowed in, at the plate, to go off your point, Dan, Carlos Santana has been scuffling lately, and that's a pretty big hole, the 5 hole right there.
Yeah.
If he's not producing, what do? Do you start platooning Connor Joe there? You call up, Endy can play first, when the Super 2, maybe he's an option here in a couple weeks. But I think that's the bigger issue because his glove hasn't really been, justifying it either. He's kind of been scuffling all over. Maybe he needs a couple days off or, just a reset. But, the lineup, like you said, 14 runs or 1 run. There's really not much of an in-between lately.
Yeah, with G-Man Choi going down, you could see that they were going to platoon him over there. And I think he's got a better bat than Carlos. And Carlos is 37 years old. I get it. Trying to spark his career for maybe another couple years. You see that happen a lot with the Buccos. They come and they get another contract out of somebody, get traded away. But that does hurt. I think, what was it? Friday night was the first time everybody in the lineup had a hit. It's the first time this season. So all 9 Buccos. All 9 Buccos ended up getting a hit on Friday night, which is you get that 14 runs. And I mean, they were mashing the cover off the ball. I think they had 4 dingers, something like that, 3 or 4 dingers. And then you come out yesterday and you just fall flat. One run. I want to say with the whole weekend, I think the big thing was the biggest news over the weekend was probably this.
There it is, 2000, a milestone moment for a Pittsburgh icon back home.
And I think, hats off. Not a lot of guys in the majors have ever done it. There's 200 or 300 guys that have done it. It's an achievement that you tip your cap to. And I was glad to see they actually got the win. So it wasn't like, oh, well, he got his 2000th hit, so let's be happy for that. And it's nice to see that they're battling there for first place. They're in the conversation, because if not, then he gets his 2000th hit and like you hang your hat on that for the season. It wouldn't feel right. So I think that's the big takeaway for this weekend. Like I said, kind of disappointed they went 6-3 on the homestand, 9-game homestand, but what are you going to do? I'll take it rather than going 3-6 or 2-7. So I'll take it. They're playing above 500 ball. Like you said, with the starting pitching, it's tough, injuries. And then Johan Oviedo actually is very close to pitching 60% of the innings he's pitched last year. So how much more time are you going to have him out there? Are they going to send him down? Get some rehab starts in, not use them as much. That's tough because he's still young.
They have to keep him up here just because they have, Quinn Priester's been better these last few weeks, but he hasn't been lighting up AAA, and that's really the guy that's going to be next up. You got these depth guys, Caleb Smith, Oswaldo Vito, Cam Aldred. You have these guys down there where they're nothing more than AAA depth. They're not prospects. They're older. Yeah. They've had their chance, and Priester's really the only guy there in AAA. Now, granted, they got a lot of good young arms in double and single A. Off the top of my head, you have Jared Jones, who I think has the chance to be the best pitcher out of the prospect pool as of right now. Anthony Solometo and Bubba Chandler, both in the same draft class, but they're years away. They have the high upside arms, but it's pretty bare right now when you need them. Like, a couple years they'll be, ideally they'll be loaded, but right now there's nothing really there. And, after Endy and Henry Davis, you have Gonzalez, Peguero. That's, nothing crazy, solid prospects, but I think a lot of their guys, like I said, they're in the low minors right now where they're not going to be contributing for a few years. So I think, my personal opinion, I've seen this floated out on Twitter a lot, and I think it makes sense. Shane Bieber from the Guardians, he's been down this year, whatever, he'd be a good starter in the rotation, I think, for Pittsburgh. And if Cleveland's willing to, put a package together where maybe Peguero or Gonzalez, because you'll have a logjam of infielders. Tamar Johnson coming up, Cruz coming back, Marcano's been playing okay. They have that logjam. Yeah, and who? Sorry,
Castro. He's been playing well. He's grown on this year.
So they have the logjam there. Maybe if Cleveland, Gonzalez, and you package maybe a young arm in there with it for Bieber, you do it. If Cleveland, yeah, maybe I'd do it. If I'm the Pirates, I absolutely do it. I think we're going to see one or two types of those moves coming up here, probably sooner rather than later, especially with the pitching. Like you said, Oviedo's pitching a lot of innings. Rich Hill's old as dirt, but he's still shoving out there. How long can they keep going? Who knows?
The thing that I see with the pitching, at least, that if I was to get somebody, it's someone that can throw strikes. When bad things have been happening for the Pirates, it's when we saw, was it Thursday or Tuesday, Wednesday or Thursday, that A's game where Ronzi came out, walked like seven runs. Zastrinski came in, walked in 2 more. We just need someone to put the ball over the plate and be able to get guys, because even if the ball is put in play, I think one of the strong suits that we really didn't think were going to be a strong suit was how good they've been defensively lately. Hayes is locking it down. I think he's one of the best third basemen. Like, he's showing how good his glove is. Santana, he streaky, but the outfield's pretty locked down. Connor Joe had an incredible game. I think he's in right field. He gunned a guy from, I think, Oakland in right field. Beautiful throw right off the wall. One hop, grabbed it one hand, barehanded it. He's proven to be a good arm. I think they can rely a little more on their defense than, say like a pitcher would throw some strikes over, than rather walk them. So I think that's something they can try to lean on. Just get a guy that can put the ball over the plate.
Well, I think the other thing too there is that we didn't expect, especially I didn't expect, the bullpen to be this good so far this year. You got Bednar, Holderman, Moretta, Johan Ramirez has been doing well. Jose Hernandez has been doing well, the Rule 5 pick. I mean, their bullpen's pretty solid right now, but you don't want to tax some of those arms too much, because we've seen it before. Name that I think of off the bat, Archimedes Caminero. You remember him, flamethrower?
Yep.
One of these guys might be a flash in the pan. You don't know, but you don't want to find out quite yet and tax them too much, because truly, aside from Bednar and probably Moretta, Holderman, he's still shaky sometimes. I think he has great upside. Like I say, he's under team control. I have no issue with him being in there at all. But, you see some of these guys that in the high leverage situations, we'll see how that plays out throughout the whole year.
I think with going to piggyback off that, them getting so many quality starts out of their starters, that really does help keep the bullpen fresh and the back end guys very fresh, and not have to put younger guys into high leverage situations, into situations where they might crack, they might crumble. And Ryan, I think you're absolutely correct when you say you got to get somebody who can throw the ball over the plate.
Thank you.
Because you're welcome. I can't remember if it was, I think it was Tuesday or it might have been Monday. I know they won Monday against Oakland, but Oviedo was out there and he was just walking guys, and then they'd have 2 big innings. I think it might have been Tuesday, because
I think it was the second game they lost, because if it wasn't for that little walk fest they had, they would have came back and won both games. They would have won those. They probably would have swept.
So
it wasn't for a blow up inning here and there.
I know they put up 7 in the first on Wednesday, so it had to be Tuesday. And the 2 big innings they had started with walks. Johan just could not throw the ball over the plate, and then they ended up pulling him out, like I think 5th inning, 6th inning, and whoever they brought in walked 2 guys, and then they'd get a double. That's how you have big innings. You just need to throw the ball over the plate, and like you said, trust your defense. They're professionals. They're there to field the ball for a reason. So it's not just you and the hitter. So
DeYoung, was that the DeYoung game?
I think it might have been. Did they DFA him
like his last hoorah?
Yeah,
because they swept the Cardinals.
Yeah,
and I think the A's game was his first game back, and they brought him in and he got shelled, and everyone's like, well, he's probably never coming back to the majors, which he was pretty good a couple years back, right? He was not good, like
serviceable,
at least a bit reliable,
serviceable.
But they look bad that day. But I think it was that. But once they start a walk fest, and then another, like the second reliever comes in and has his little walk fest.
Yeah.
You pretty much chalk it up at that point. That hurts, because you're not gonna get quality starts here and there. So that might be on Derek Shelton a little bit too. Like, you're bringing in guys like Zastrinski, Stevenson early in the year, now DeYoung. It's like you got to find someone a little better than that, or even Underwood. Like, come on, like, what are we doing here?
And I get it. You need a long arm every once in a while, because your starter there's days your starter just does not have it. I get that. Like Mitch Keller when he was pitching against the A's, that was the second game when they lost 11-2.
Yeah.
So he just doesn't have his stuff, and it happens. You guys get tired. You show up to the ballpark, you're just not feeling right. You don't have your A stuff. It happens. Sometimes you need a long arm, and I don't think they have a long arm like a Clint Barmas.
What? A shortstop?
No. What the hell was his name? Not Clint Barmas.
No. I know who you're talking about. I think we're on the same wavelength. I'm digging deep into the archives.
Oh, what the hell
Vance Worley.
No, not Vanimal. What the hell was his name?
He was stud long reliever, spot starter, underappreciated. Vance Worley.
Was he the one with the specs?
Vance Worley had the record.
Yeah, Vanimal.
How's Vanimal?
I think like games with Oviedo or something, they might be good with just having an opener. Like, what would you guys feel about them bringing out like an opener for like one inning? You know, take the pressure off the starter a little bit, get through those first couple batters. Why not have like some guy like say Holderman start the game or Moretta or not Bednar? You know, keep him for the closer, but have one of those more reliable arms start the game and get off to a hot start. Let their hot bats like get shut down quick and have our hot bats up.
I mean, I'm interested who he's doing some research.
Yeah, I can't think of his name, dude. It's a wild name. I know it starts with a C, and his last name starts with a B. I know it is.
What year would it have been? Like 2010?
Like 5 years ago?
I don't know.
I'm sure.
It's just not popping out at me, and I'm looking.
I'm trying to think of relievers they had. Clay Holmes?
No.
I don't know.
No.
Was Tony Watson was a closer.
That's it. Stephen Brault.
Stephen Brault?
Yeah.
He was a starter for a I thought he was a starter.
But then we put him in the bullpen. He was their long arm. He was taking 5-6 innings if he had 4 or 5 innings if he had to. That's who I was thinking of.
Okay.
Not Clint Barmas. What the hell am I thinking? Look at me.
I was like,
yeah.
I thought you were a stroke, I'll be honest.
I smell toast.
Barmas,
I smell toast. But
you had me for a second.
They're just looking ahead, their next 3 series are against teams in their division. So, you got the Cubs for 3, Brewers for 3, Cubs for 3. So you can make some ground. You can further yourself from Milwaukee. Those are the next 2 series are away, and then you got the Cubs back at home. That's not till the 19th. So it's a week from tomorrow.
So that might be good that they have off tomorrow because they're going to Chicago Tuesday.
Yeah.
But looking at it, they're playing baseball for 2 weeks straight, no breaks.
Yeah.
So from the 13th to I think looks like the 27th or the 26th, they're playing baseball, and then I think they're 25th. On the West Coast for 3 games, maybe, or are the Padres in town? Padres must be in town.
They're in town. Yeah.
Maybe a good series to go watch if you're looking for an interesting opponent to come around, but. I feel like these next 2-ish weeks are the most important, so far of the season because you got those divisional opponents. This is where you can make some ground up, separate yourself, or really bury yourself a little bit and dig yourself a hole. Mm-hmm. So we'll see how they do against the Cubs and Brewers because that's the first time we're seeing them.
Yeah.
So it's a big preview for who they'll be playing, in the nitty gritty parts of the season. So interesting to watch if you haven't watched the Buccos yet. This is probably a good time to get into them if you're looking to start watching some baseball or looking to get a preview of how they stack up against divisional opponents. So we'll finally be checking every divisional opponent off the box. So that's exciting.
Yeah, it's a big month here. You got about a month till the All-Star break, and you play the Brewers and Cubs in 2 different series. So you play 2 more divisional opponents and some other teams in the NL. So you gotta separate yourself in. I think they did that in a big way against the Mets because the Mets were battling them there at the beginning of the series for a wild card spot. So yeah. I think that's big, and I think it's a statement. I think we'll see after the All-Star break because we've said it before, the 2011, 2012 season, they just fell off after the All-Star break. We'll have to see what kind of team comes out of the All-Star break there.
I think you can kind of foreshadow today as a step in the right direction because the Pirates of old, that's a kind of game they lose where it's a very close game. And, the runs from either side aren't, stacking up. So I feel like it was good for them to win that kind of game where it's not flashy hit after hit. 'Cause that's the kind of games they'd lose in the past and just be their own worst enemy. So it's good to see that. But a question I have is, how many All-Stars, or who do you guys think the All-Stars are going to be for the Pirates? I think there's one or two locks, and then after that,
two.
I don't know.
Yeah, I agreed last week when we said two. I don't know about Keller now, though. You still think it's Keller? Keller and Bednar?
I think
Keller Bednar?
Bednar's a lock, and then
Okay.
I think Keller still gets it
so?
done. I mean, two outings,
Hopefully had two losses, yeah. I mean, that's still pretty good.
Yeah. I still think if Brian Hayes keeps knocking the cover off the ball, he's going to be your dark horse, and I think he might end up getting in. So we might get definitely two, and it might be any combination. Well, Bednar, and it could be Keller or Brian Hayes. Other than that, it's just going to definitely one.
That's what I was going to say. If one of these three guys has a complete hot streak from now to All-Star break, you can get either Reynolds, Hayes, or dark horse Jack Sawinski.
No.
I'm sorry, and I'm glad you brought up Brian Reynolds, because I think he's underachieving for what we're paying him for. He's supposed to be the cornerstone of your outfield, just like Brian Hayes is your cornerstone of your infield. He's not doing it at the plate, and I understand he's got very good numbers. He's got numbers comparable to where he was last year, but this is about the time he should start tearing it up, and I think his numbers are where they're at right now because he had a hot start, very hot start, and he cooled off tremendously. I think if you ask me, he's kind of a disappointment. It's a toss-up with two guys being disappointments on this team, which normally you would say the whole team's a disappointment. So it's kind of a bright spot to say, hey, there's only two guys that are disappointing to you right now. And that would be, for me, Brian Reynolds and Rowanzi Contreras.
Yeah. What you're seeing, though, is more Reynolds isn't stepping up in the situations they need him. Whenever he has a good game, it's whenever they're already blowing a team out.
Correct.
He can't really hit lefties, I think. Is that who he has trouble batting from the... No, he has trouble batting righty against lefties, I think. Is that how it goes?
Are you thinking about what the hell is his name? Yeah, Castro. They don't want him hitting lefties, and I don't know why.
But that's why he does so bad, is when it's a lefty pitcher and he has to switch to the right-hand side. Because I think he's a dominant lefty hitter. But I do think he'll turn... I hope he turns it around. I mean, do you think he doesn't have that edge because he signed that big contract? Is it not he's probably in a different mindset? Or
that's possible. If you ask me, if this team wants to succeed and make a push to the postseason, he needs to find it. And I'm not saying, like I said, his numbers aren't terrible this year, but he needs to take that next step. He needs to be almost superstar status. He's the guy who just signed
his name
all that
up
money
there now.
So
he has some pretty big names for what the contract he signed. He's up there with some big names from what I can remember.
Now I get it. Maybe that had something to do with it, but that was a month ago. It's in the past. You signed your name on the dotted line. Produce.
That's what I'm saying, though. You see it even in football. Once they sign that contract, though, pressure's off.
Yeah. You're not out there trying to prove.
You see it in sports all the time. Contract years is when guys have their best years because they know, hey, if I do well, I'm getting paid. So maybe he's like, oh, I already got paid. I can sit back. I don't have to, do this or that or do what I've been doing or do that extra step or take the extra mile,
Yeah.
I just hope that's not that kind of mentality that he has. I don't think the Pirates would have spent that much money on him if they knew that's the kind of person he was.
I think he's just in a slump.
Yeah.
Reynolds is a competitor. Let's get that right. He's not the kind of guy that the pressure's off. He's just going to slack off.
He's one of my favorite Buccos. I mean, I love the guy. I love he's a tremendous player. You can tell he cares about being on the team. I like him a lot. I hope he turns it around. I think he will. I don't think there's much pressure on this season. I know we talk about them losing streak this, losing streak that, but I think this is the season to kind of lock it in and get ready for whenever we are contenders. I'm not saying throw away the season, but we're not World Series material yet. So this is a year to kind of figure it out, if any.
they've already blown away my expectations, correct? So why not build on that? We've gone over it in the past, but I mean, he's hitting 280, 38 ribbies. I don't know how many homers he has. Probably, I don't even think he's at double digits yet. But he's
probably at 6, maybe.
He's on pace for the same stats as he had last year, very close to. So, and I thought last year he played just fine. But I think just fine for a guy who signed that kind of contract and is supposed to be, I'll say it, the face of your franchise. Because I understand some people say O'Neal Cruz is, and I get that, but he didn't sign a long-term contract yet. We still have him under all that stuff. He's still young. Brian Reynolds is your face. I think he needs to take that step to solidify himself as the face of your franchise. That's just all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Trying to look here. Home runs.
He has 6.
7.
Yeah, I get it. He had 3 or 4 in the first 2 or 3 games. Yeah. So, but how do you go that cold? Is just I don't know if that's a pretty big slugging slump in my eyes. But if he could be a 30 homer guy, 80 ribby guy, 90 ribby guy, I'd be more than happy because he's hitting in the 4 hole, no, 2 second or third he was hitting, right? So I mean,
they've been switching up Marcano's batting first a lot. I think it's like Marcano or no, like Touch is batting first too,
which
it's never consistent.
No,
but that 4 or 5 is always like Lewinsky-ish, Santana.
Which like I said last week was with Cruz being out, you're gonna jumble that lineup a lot. If he's back in that lineup, I think it's more solidified. It's more, set in stone. So, but
do you think Cruz is coming back early?
I'm telling you right now, they won't push it. They won't push it at all.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
Because
I'm not sure if you saw the new jersey leak or whatever. Did you see it?
Yeah, they're trash.
I'm not impressed, but I like the concept from the waist down and the head up. But the jersey just wasn't that. I like the old style of the yellow pillbox pants, that black with the yellow stripe. But just the PGH kind of stinks. They could have done a lot more with it. It looked lazy to me. But in the little leak picture, they showed O'Neal Cruz without a boot on. So I don't know if you could take that as a positive sign. But like you said, Dan, they're probably not going to rush it.
Nah.
So is it early August, mid, or late August?
I bet you probably early August, I would say.
Late June, maybe? Or July, sorry. No.
I wouldn't think that.
Hey, once he comes back. I'm looking forward to that. Looking real forward to watching him absolutely smack a baseball first time up. You only got to see him for maybe three games?
I think it was 9. I think it was 9 games.
Is it 9 games?
Here, give me a sec.
We
9
didn't
games.
see him in Pittsburgh, did we?
9 games. Yeah, that's where he got hurt.
Yeah, we saw him opening day. So, because they would have played the Reds.
Yep.
Maybe another 2 series because it took him a week to get to play at home, right?
Something like that. But 9 games he played in this year so far.
About 2.5 weeks, maybe at most.
Yeah. So. And that does hurt. I mean, his bat, him up the middle. So, just I just want to see him back at 100%. It's going to take some time to get his timing back and all that jazz. Because I even said earlier, I think this would have been a big growing year for him. So he might be,
it kind of sets you back.
He might be a year behind, which is frustrating. But as long as he comes back and he's doing what he did, we saw at the 60 some games last year and the beginning of this year. Just learn how to slide.
No, the thing is, if he comes back and he's knocking the cover off the ball, that's a scary sight for, NL Central because those pitchers are locked in by August.
Yeah.
And he's basically coming out of spring training.
Yeah.
And even off an injury. So that's something to look out for. If he's smacking that cover off that ball, he's built different. He's certified built diffy.
So since we're talking about cruise, I want to ask you guys, do you see that they're the Reds are oohing and on over their cruise, LA Data cruise or whatever? And they were saying, oh, he's got the fastest ball thrown across the diamond. He's hit the hardest ball. Well, our cruise is hurt, or he would have it. So take that, Cincinnati. You still suck.
Yeah, it's like Schrodinger's cruise.
Your crappy Skyline chili.
I knew it was coming. I love it.
Yeah, go put chili on spaghetti. Like, what are you doing?
All right. Well, that's all I have. Buckeyes talk.
It's like Schrodinger's cruise. Like ours is in the box, like with the box shut, so like you can't really tell what's going on in there. Like Schrodinger's cat. Yeah.
Thanks.
And that's the science segment for today. Science lesson. All right, what do we got?
Oh,
Dan, Andrew, nothing.
What?
I want to address a goo mess out on the stream today, Dan.
Okay.
Me?
The fishing stream.
Oh, I knew where you're getting at.
Caused the scene. First fish of the year.
First off, here's what I want to say. I want to have a little pretense. So I consider myself a guy that's, I'm not bad at anything. I'm average at everything. Name one thing I'm bad at, Andrew. Tell me. You've known me for a while now.
A little bit. Yeah.
Anything I do, I can get up and I can compete in. Name one thing that I couldn't, at least have a puncher's chance at.
An Oklahoma drill against Dan.
Yeah,
I have a chance there.
Hauling.
I have a chance there. No, seriously. I'm not a master of anything, but I'm like decent at all. So I'm like a jack of all trades.
Okay.
There's nothing I'm gonna knock your socks off, but I'm gonna compete in anything I do. So fishing isn't really a competition though. So I bought my license last night, printed it off, just shoved it in my bag. I went. And I'm not an expert by any means. I get the line wet though, and that's all that matters because you ain't gonna catch a fish if your line ain't wet. So, Andrew, go ahead. That's my little prologue.
We're down at the spillway, and Ryan, gets his first one of the year. Decent little bluegill, whatever, bring it in. What does he do as he unhooks it and grabs it, Dan? Any ideas?
Drops it in the water.
No.
Eventually,
he releases it.
Pretense. Here's a little mid-credit scene. I like to have fun and put a little pizzazz to my fishing. So, all right, go ahead.
There's Ryan and I are there with our cousin Owen. There are people up all over the wall.
Let me jump in again. I respect the animal. I don't hurt the fish. All right, go ahead.
He unhooks it, he looks at it, and he just starts loudly barking at it.
Jesus.
Face to face.
I give it a little ground,
Why? Fish don't bark.
I just thought it'd be funny.
And what the people up on the wall say as they see you bark bluegill?
The guy looks down, you go, "Oh, you can't hurt him." He's concerned for the fish's health. I was I had it off the hook in probably less than 30 seconds. The hook was up its nose like that. I was holding it and I couldn't pull it out, and Andrew got the pliers and I was pulling it while he was pulling it the other way, so it was kind of like a Chinese finger trap. But I just gave it a little rough. I looked it in the eyes and I threw it back in.
Keep in mind, these guys up there catch a nice walleye and they can't even hold it. It's up there on the wall bouncing off the ground because they can't keep a hold of it. Look, a basketball. They're concerned. I don't know if they were concerned that Ryan was going to pull an Ozzy Osbourne and bite the head off it on the, assert dominance on the stream. I wasn't sure, but then there was a spectacle at the end. We're leaving. Two gentlemen up there. They caught a freshwater eel, which is incredibly rare, and they didn't know if it was legal or not. They wanted to keep it for whatever reason. That's something you release.
Yeah.
But they got the old timers up on the wall. I fished here 60 years. These ignorant assholes, and he's giving them guff.
Yeah,
they're not understanding whatever he's saying.
Yeah, and
finally they have their phone out. They're just whipping this eel around, trying to figure out. They're legal, and the guy's yeah, we'll see what the game warden says. So we got out of there before it got a little hot in the streets down there. But never seen that before. So that was a pretty rare sighting there. Freshwater eels. Yay big, decent size too. Never saw that before.
No, I all my years fishing up there, I've never seen somebody pull an eel out of there That's pretty impressive.
That's what I said.
Yeah. And I fished up there. Hell, we were 15, 16 years old up until a few years ago. I just quit fishing. I've never seen one. That's like
you come out with me.
I'll go.
Friday night after bocce, a little night fishing.
Yeah, I'll do some night fishing. I could take you guys some good cat fishing spots on Don Kelly Station.
Fish. I'm not a big fan. That's the only fish I don't like.
Oh, they're so fun. I'm talking like 40 pounders. I'm talking 3 foot long. Oh yeah. Big cats.
I don't like them. They just rub me the wrong way.
That's fair. Is it the whiskers?
I try to stay away from them whenever I can. I'll hook one if I'm using a minnow, but I just don't like them.
That's fair.
I mean, I plan on going out night fishing Friday if you're down. Print the license off. Yeah. Let's go. Youngzers night fishing expedition. We'll go live. Anyone catches anything, respecting the fish, I won't be barking at it, causing a going feral, causing a scene, that's for sure.
I literally growled and I was like, and that's all I did, literally, but like a little louder. And they're just like, you can't hurt him. You sound like kill.
You take him bluegill and you hook him up to a bigger hook and you hook up some muskie or catfish with those. I was
just like blown away. Like this guy didn't know who I was, didn't know what I was about, and he just decided to chime in on my like fishing session.
Everybody thinks that they have authority. That's the thing. You go hunting and you get the same jag-offs. Oh, they better have 3 on one side. Yeah, pipe down, buddy. I make sure before I shoot. Everybody's a game commission out there. Everybody's a game commission out there. It's ridiculous.
It's like it's such like a narrow spectrum. It's either you get a nice old guy that gives you bobbers like they did today. Like this guy comes over, here's 2 bobbers. You either get guys like that, or you get guys like threatening to call like the CEO of fishing on you and like, get you thrown in prison. I don't know.
So we were talking, Dan, what do you think the best way like trolling fishermen would be? We came up with a conclusion, like you see someone reeling in a nice bass or something. Do you run up, like take a picture with it and then just let it go? So like, you claim it as your own. Does that count?
No, you want to really troll people like and be a nuisance. Get out there and act like you've never fished before and just throw over their lines constantly all day. That's the worst thing you could do because A, it's a pain in the ass. B, somebody's probably going to want to punch you. I think if you just try to claim somebody's fish as your own, doesn't every fisherman? Hey, look at this fish I caught. It's this big.
Hold it closer to the camera so it looks bigger.
So if you really want to like jag with people, throw your line over there, stuff like that. Or if they're reeling in, or if they just threw out and they're getting hits or something, throw some crankbait over there real quick. Just splash it right on them. That'll get the people riled up. Oh yeah.
I'm just like maybe hooking up a rock to the end of my line and just casting a rock out to make a big splash.
Yes. Yeah. You just piss people off.
A whole new level of trolling though. Like I feel like Ryan out on the streams or the lake or wherever, like I feel like it's like an untapped potential for whatever his brain comes up with. Like he's gonna play coy and bashful up there, but we know he cannot help himself when it comes down to it.
When it comes to like relaxing hobbies like that, I don't really like dive into it because I just people do that kind of thing. Golf's different. Like you can do stuff in golf, but
that's barking at a fish. Like that's like
little quip. That wasn't like fully blown like making someone else's day worse. I'm not going to try. The end goal isn't to make their day worse. It's just to get a rise out of them and like make a funny situation.
Cast your line over somebody's line a few times and reel it in without them reeling theirs in first, and you'll get a rise out of them.
No, the thing I'd do is just buy cheap bobbers and just throw a handful.
You're just going to fling it down.
Chum it with bobbers. I don't know.
You got to keep those out of the waterways.
Worst off, attach some line with like bait to the end of a couple of them and watch them go down, and people going like this, like thinking it's theirs.
Well, that happened to our cousin. So his first cast, something hit, and it actually broke the line off above where the bobber was. So you could see the bobber floating. It was going down, and then you could see it swimming upstream back down.
Yeah,
that's a tough way to start the day.
It is.
Seeing that, and when you had something on there, and then it's just back free roaming around. You can't do anything about it. I had a couple where like last week I bought a new like a whopper plopper, for bass. Messed up the knot. First cast, just went flying across the creek, smashed into the rocks on the other shore. That was the worst feeling I've had. I'm like, man, I'm an idiot. Like that one hurt.
Yeah, I like throwing crankbait, but I really like when I was younger because I was antsy and I just wanted to do something. When I was fishing there late, in my career, I would call it, just throw a couple worms on there and just let it sit. And I'm just sitting there enjoying it. It's like when I'm hunting, I'm up in the tree stand. I couldn't see something for hours. I don't care because I'm in my own little world. I'm away from reality. And especially like when the pandemic was going on, it was just a getaway from everyday normal life and the chaos of the world. And was the world ending? Was I ever going to see anybody again? I got to keep going to work. What the hell? So it was just a nice escape. And that's how I treated fishing too. It's just to get away and to hear the water, be by the water. And if I caught something, great. If I didn't care, because for those few hours, I was in like a state of Zen. I was at Nirvana. That's how I felt.
Yeah, because there's always the anticipation, like every time you throw out there, something big could hit this. Like
possible,
make it come back for more. No, but we were having this discussion tonight, Dan. So you talk about catfishing, and
yes,
they eat everything, right? So I've seen YouTube videos of them eating gummy worms.
Oh yeah.
It's a hypothetical scenario. Mm-hmm. You start, they have a taste for gummy worms. You soak them in alcohol. Do you think you get like a catfish alcoholic?
Possible. Anything can become an alcoholic, right? And be dependent on it. It's just like that cocaine bear that was the apex predator for that 35 seconds till its heart exploded.
Yeah. Exactly. So like you could get the same one just coming back. Like it's like, it's a Friday night out on the town for the thing. Like, the bar's set up, that thing's just coming back for more. That's just a hypothetical. I'm not going to do it, obviously. But, I just thought like, maybe start conditioning them for like different flavors or something, like, you see people soak chicken liver in cherry Kool-Aid and throw that out a lot. I wonder what other flavors they like. Is there a certain flavor they like? Do they not like some? A lot of research to be done, I feel.
You never know until you try it. Then you get him all boozed up and he's going home beating his catfish wife, and then he's got to pay for 3,000 youngins. Yeah. But
I'm over serving them. I'm getting in trouble for over serving them.
Yeah.
Or he like wraps his car around like a rock or something in the water, driving home.
Like Stuart Little.
You ever talk to them old timers, like the divers and stuff for different fire departments, and they go down by the locks and dams and stuff? They say there's catfish down there the size of Volkswagens. They say they're just massive. They just sit there in the current, just chilling, and their food just comes right to them. They don't have to move. They're massive, they say.
Did you see the one that was caught in Italy this week?
No, I didn't.
They think it's the largest catfish, 9 feet, over 9 feet.
See, that's the thing. Those fish exist in our rivers. You just never see them because you're never going to catch them. They're never going to hit anything that you throw out there. They're waiting.
What are they eating? Like just bass and stuff?
They eat other fish, yeah. But you're talking like fish that you would be proud of catching. They're eating for dinner, for a snack.
Yeah, that's like a snack, yeah.
So it's, and like I said, they just stay there in the current and they just do this all day and their food comes right to them. They don't move.
Well, did you ever watch Star Wars Revenge of the Sith?
Yeah.
There's always a bigger fish.
There is.
Do you remember that? They're in the little boat. They're in the underwater thing, like a fish like goes to eat them. Then a bigger fish like swallows that fish, and then Qui-Gon Jinn's like, there's always a bigger fish.
Always.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Fish.
That's probably why I don't like it. I've watched those like ones where they eat people. I'm like, like catfish aren't one thing to mess around with. I respect the catfish. I respect them.
You're talking, however, like, let's say you hook up to a 50-pound catfish, like a channel cat or a flathead. That's all muscle. It's no slouch. Pound for pound, probably one of the strongest animals in the world. Fish are
not even
all
like
muscle.
A training regimen.
No,
like get that thing on the bench press or like squatting.
Yeah,
that thing's like huge.
Yeah, they're no joke.
Where you think of going Friday night, Dan? Catfish. Where do you think?
I don't know if you can go to the backwaters anymore. I don't think you're allowed. There's a couple places down Kelly Station I know. Used to go down by the one Rosebud mine, me and Bruno, and we would hammer catfish all night. And then he took me down off of the Highland Park Bridge. There's this like landing spot, and I can't remember who it was. Ended up hooking up like a 45-pound, 3.5-foot catfish. This thing was huge. We pulled it up the wall and everything, and whoever hooked it up only had like 20-pound test too. It was That's exhilarating. Impressive. It was very exhilarating because whoever hooked it up right. But I'm pulling that sumbitch up and it's just fighting. I'm like, please don't break. We finally get it up. Yeah, that thing was huge. Let me make a few phone calls. I'll find us a good spot to go catfishing for sure.
There's like a mythical one in Burl Lake Park. I don't know if it's still alive or not.
I caught that.
No, you didn't. It has a name and everything. If you've ever been on the Fish Brain app and you go to Burl Lake Park and you scroll down to the bottom, there's this one. It's called Big Poppy, and they have pictures of it. It's like huge. It's not huge. It's not huge. It's like huge.
Huge.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like people say huge, like HUGE. But like whenever you're thinking something real big, you say huge, like UGE.
Yeah.
Like that thing's huge.
It's like if Butterbean and Bartolo Colon combined it and then just turned into a catfish. It is just a heavy catfish.
It's probably still alive. It's not gonna have a predator in there.
No.
So
but how long, what's a catfish lifespan?
Very long. Let me look it up for you.
It looks pretty prehistoric, and those kind of fish, they stick around. Something that's like a fossil, those things stick around.
60 years is a catfish's life cycle.
Holy cow.
And not only that, but like if you take them out of water, they can stay out of water for like hours without being in water, and still be alive. Catfish are so resilient. They eat garbage, bro. Yeah, they're
really? Like what kind?
Whatever you throw in there.
It's like foil, like tin foil.
Yeah, they'll eat it. You ever see them videos of them cutting open like tiger sharks and there's license plates in there? Yeah, it happens. Imagine that times 10 with catfish. They're just nasty animals, man. They don't care what they eat. They see movement or something shiny, they eat it. It could be some tungsten, it could be a fish. They don't care. Yeah, they're very resilient.
I kind of respect it.
You have to.
That's like a good life form. I'm not even calling it. That's a life form right there. It's like a resilient, like catfish clock in every day and they clock out. Like they show up.
They never clock out. They clock in day one and they're there for 60 years.
Yeah.
They're like the grouper of fresh water is what I would compare it to.
Andrew, do you still have that app? Yeah, I have to look at it. I don't have it downloaded.
They put it all behind a paywall now, though. You can't go back. Like,
you think it's just up on Burl Lake Park catfish image?
I think I'm like frozen, by the way.
No, you're good.
Am I?
Oh no, you are frozen. You are frozen. Screen. Yeah, you're just.
Should I try to turn my camera off and on, or that?
No, you can do whatever. You can leave.
I'm gonna try that.
Leave the Discord, come back. It don't matter.
All right, there we go.
I mean, Dan, should we put like a Youngzers bounty on Big Poppy? If you like catch him and get a picture with him, you get like a prize. That'd be fun.
Yeah. So I want to see how big he is.
You know how hard it would be to catch a catfish like that?
It's been done.
Yeah.
Well, it's a bounty.
All right.
$50 to Bass Pro Shops if you can successfully send us a timestamp picture of you catching Big Poppy.
Apparently, I'll give you a hint. He lives under the dock.
Yeah. That's his home. That is his home. Confirmed.
No, I'm not joking. He's been there. I've seen it.
Yeah,
I've seen pictures. I haven't seen him in person.
I haven't seen a picture. I haven't been to Burl Lake in years. Very, very long time. That's in your backyard now there, Mott's.
Yeah, I might collect my own bounty.
That's great.
Okay, first thing I typed in, like it knew what I was doing. I typed in giant into Google, and the first thing that came up was catfish. Giant catfish.
Yeah,
Not sure.
Because it's in the news this week because of that one in Italy.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, check out. You look up that picture and see how big that thing is.
Dude, they're so ugly. It's unreal.
Italy.
Oh, yeah, they're not winning any beauty pageants, but you know they're
there. Be like the my 600-pound life like fish. Like, why even stick your hand in that?
Monster.
Italian angler reels in giant catfish. Like, why are you sticking your hand in that?
Well, it's tired by that point.
Yeah.
9-foot monster. He's in the water with it. Yeah. Why are you in the water with this thing?
Italian twin brothers. Is that 280 pound? It's saying.
Yeah.
Wow.
The thing is, why are you in the water with it though? 280 pounds. You gotta go in the water for that one.
Oh, absolutely.
The thing is, it could eat you.
It's not going to. At that point, it's so tired from fighting. It probably fought for a few hours.
What did they hook? How did they hook it? How do you hook into something? Do you have to have a huge hook?
Oh, yeah. You know, yeah, you got an ocean rig.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got a big ass rig out there.
You probably got a couple, maybe. Like, why are you sticking your hands in that thing's mouth?
Why not?
Big blues. They have blue catfish. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Blues are one of the biggest ones, I believe.
But you could I could see why they did it. They're probably feeding their families for like a couple weeks.
No, I think they probably released it.
Really? You think they're releasing a 9-foot long?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, if you're talking like tribes over like along the Amazon River and stuff, the show River Monsters, Jeremy Wade ended up hooking up something big over there, and he's always released everything he's caught, and the tribe got all mad, all excited because they thought that he caught it for them, and he's like, well, it probably won't survive out there if I release it because it's so tired, that he ended up giving it to the tribe that was right there. So if you're not, using the river or lake or whatever as a resource, you're just gonna catch and release. So yeah, I bet you they released that thing.
Just like those jags with the freshwater eel should have done today. Just release it. Get a picture and release it.
Yeah, and I mean,
not wave it around like a pinata for 10 minutes where you're trying to Google, is it legal to keep in PA?
Yeah, it's just like them jags that find like dolphins will wash up on shore or whatever, and people are passing around like and then it dies. Like, you don't do that shit.
Lombardi trophy. Yeah, they're passing it around. Yeah, no.
Do they have teeth?
Catfish?
Or do they just ingest what they eat? Like, just straight up like mouth open.
Yeah, most fish don't have teeth. It has like what do they call it? A plate or whatever, and it's got like little like sandpaper almost on the bottom. And it kind of like it'll grind up whatever.
Yeah, like walleye, pike, muskie. Those are the three like main ones around here with teeth. Yeah, or if you manage to like get an alligator gar or something like that, wrap a gar.
Yeah, but you guys ever see the paddlefish in the Kiski? In the Kiski?
Yeah.
Yeah,
no,
it's illegal to catch. First off, it's you know what like a sawtooth shark looks like, Ryan? It's got that long nose and it's got the like teeth coming out the side of it. Like
yeah.
That's a paddlefish, but without the teeth, and they're herbivores. So the only way you can catch them is like off lettuce and cabbage and stuff, and they're illegal to catch because they're like prehistoric, and there's only like 10 in PA.
So you're not even gonna catch one if you try.
Most likely, no.
Yeah.
So the way like you'll like if you even catch one is by sheer luck. Like if your line or whatever lure wraps around its snout, whatever you want to call it.
I'm pretty sure if you intentionally fish for it and the game warden sees you're going to jail.
They shoot you on the spot actually and feed you to the Volkswagen catfish down at the dam.
Yeah, paddlefish. Like there's not very many in PA and.
Those look awesome, though. It's almost like a swordfish.
Yeah. And there was one up by Old Lee's Lanes is where it was for a long time. Long time.
Were people catching it?
They were trying. I don't think anybody reeled it in.
Wow.
There was one, I think, a couple years ago that I think it was dead, but it like washed up by one of the locks in between here and Katanning. I think it was caught in the current, and it was huge.
Yeah.
But paddlefish, that's the only couple times I've seen, just people talk about it in general, just because.
Oh, here it is. It says rare paddlefish caught in Pennsylvania River. That's 2017. Paddlefish from the Allegheny River near Lock and Dam 9, south of East Brady in Armstrong County.
Yeah. That's
July 11th. 150 million years old. Extirpated from, what's extirpated mean? Like extinct almost, or near extinction?
That's endangered, isn't it?
Would that mean near extinction?
Maybe.
Or is that near endangered? I don't know.
I know there's not a lot of them that exist in Western PA. So
I took an oceanography class in college, and it didn't prepare me for that. So I'm not.
Oh, so the Fish and Boat Commission in 1991, they started stocking fingerling paddlefish through 2011, so like 20-ish years. They released 158,000 fingerlings. So would that be like just mini versions of?
Yeah. Fingerlings.
So 2016, they reported that after like they're trying to, I guess, gill netting and angler reports, only one juvenile paddlefish was collected.
Yeah,
none survived, or like they probably got eaten.
Yeah, because bass are going to eat them up.
Yeah, if they're just little.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they try raising them and then putting them in? Because they probably wouldn't survive.
Yeah, like if you raise them, stock fish don't survive very long in natural waterways. That's why, like, all them trout that they stock, or if they're not all caught by now, they're dead.
Yeah.
You don't your brownies and your brookies, they're native. They spawn in the rivers, in the creeks, So they survive, they thrive in those environments, not them stock fish.
Yeah, especially when the water temperature goes up too, I guess, and that's when they start dying out quick. Yep.
So they stopped in 2011. So it might still be. It says they can reach like considerable size in 17 years, and they're believed to live 20 years. So they stopped that in 2011. So if you're gonna catch one, it's gonna be in the next 8 years, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's tough. Paddlefish, they look cool though. They can probably like stab you. Yeah. What do they just eat like kelp?
Just plant matter, plants, stuff like that. Because it's not a bottom feeder. It's not like a carp. But they eat just vegetation. But
good on them. Like, good on them for being, I guess, environmentally friendly and not eating their, you don't see people eating other people. No. If I'm gonna hang out with a fish, it's gonna be a paddlefish or a catfish. Because catfish are just like cool and they eat whatever they want, and then paddlefish are at least respectable and don't eat each other. So if I'm gonna hang out with a fish, it's gonna be that one.
Listen, Friday night, my turn to cook for Bocce. I'm boiling up some pierogies, butter and onions. Soon as that's cleaned up, Dan, I'll pick you up. And
all right.
We'll find a spot.
All right.
We'll find somewhere.
We'll see if I attend. I got Saturday morning hoops to go to, but we'll see.
Well, when we're pulling in, an 80-pound channel cat or something, and we're the mega powers, that would be an electric picture.
It would.
A cat.
We're holding it and getting the high five going. Oh yeah.
Get like that. How would you hold the fish though?
Well, one person holds it while the other guy just poses.
No, it's like the Wonder Twins. They touch fingers.
We could DX it.
Good.
Yeah, you just hold it behind me, and I'm just back. I'm in front.
Or you could bring a table and 3D it.
You could.
Like one guy gets it up and the other.
Could you imagine it going back in the water and being like, "You will not believe what just happened to me. I think the Dudley boys just caught
me." But real quick, because we're an hour in. Did you guys follow any kind of motorsports or anything racing? I just want to touch on this real quick. The 24 hours of Le Mans was yesterday. We'll start at Saturday, 9:00 here, whatever time it was in France. And NASCAR sent over a car from Garage 56, and all the Europeans and the Frenchies were turning up their nose to it because it wasn't a hypercar or supercar or nothing like that. And it impressed over there. V8 American power, storming the beaches of France like they did back in 1944. American made, American proud. It finished the 24 hours of Le Mans. Some wet conditions, but all in all, they said it was a very successful weekend. It didn't race in anybody's class because it's in a class of its own. But
so it won first place.
Well, they said, it finished 39th overall. It finished 285 laps, something like that. It had one of the fastest laps around for what they said its class was the GT class, and it was smoking the GT class. So just like to see America go over to France again and liberate that place once again. Show them Frenchies, wee ho ho. Hey, American muscle. Oh. What is a kilometer? No. So I just wanted to touch on that real quick. And they also said that it's probably going to race in the 24 hours of Daytona. So excited to see that too.
Hey, that's a hell of a wrap up.
They should put it in the Preakness.
They should.
That'd be awesome. I'd bet on it.
They should.
What's its name? Do they have a name for the car?
No.
They just call it. What do they call it?
I don't know what they call it. I don't know.
56's car?
American Muscle. Yeah, that's all it was.
It has to have a name. It has to have something. Or a model name or
who made it? Just a Camaro. It was just a Camaro.
So it's like a Chevy.
Yeah.
It's like a Chevrolet car. Okay.
But it's got a Hendrix Motorsports engine in it and all that stuff, Yeah. It's just a Garage 56 Camaro. Type that in, Google, wherever, look it up, listen to it.
Is it red?
No, it's blue.
Really?
Yeah.
What a mistake.
And just bald eagles hissing, bro. That thing sounded nasty.
That looks cool. I'd drive that around on a regular day.
Yeah, so compared to a regular stock car that they put in NASCAR, it's got more diffusers. It's 500 pounds lighter, different suspension and stuff, because them European guys over there were they only turn left, and Jimmy Johnson was one of the drivers for that car, and he drove the balls off it, and it united all of American motorsports, and it was good to see.
I gotta get more into that. I want to watch some racing.
Racing's fun.
I need to watch some. So there's storylines, and I've heard they have docs on it, documentary stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And Formula One's one of the most growing sports right now. Yeah. Formula One racing.
What are you laughing about, Andrew?
So there's a playoff hole, in the golf tournament today. Nick Taylor, Canadian, beats Tommy Fleetwood in the playoff, 72-foot putt to win. All right. Wow. They're out there celebrating. His buddy, Adam Hadwin, the golfer, he's running out there to celebrate with the champagne, spraying it. Security guard just trucked him, fucking spectator.
Oh, no. That's awesome. That's what you get. That's what you see. Leave that stuff that'll live, Thor.
But good on him. Good on the security guard for doing his game.
Hey,
you're not going to get yelled at for that. You get a free shot on a guy running. Yeah. Good on you.
That's like 99 Woodstock. Whenever Green Day was performing, they were throwing all that mud up there, and their bassist got speared because he took his bass guitar off and was covered in mud, and the security guard didn't know it was him. Knocked his teeth out. Speared him. Look that up.
Especially imagine being a security guy at a golf tournament. It's gotta be the most boring security you're ever gonna do.
You got a lot of people right up on top of the athletes, so I don't think it's that boring. You tell a lot of people to pipe down, you toss a lot of people out. It happens. You don't see that from sitting on your couch because we see the aerial view. We see you don't see what's going on behind the scenes. It gets rowdy. And if you're not listening,
one golf event So I didn't see much there. It's just very hot and very like shoulder to shoulder. So
Yeah.
It wasn't the best. It was more of like go eat in the tent kind of situation, which and see like a good golfer every now and then if you have a good spot to stand in, but wasn't too impressed. It was all right. But yeah, that's all I got on golf. But if I was a security, I'd be taking more liberties. We got Jags, Jag of the Week.
I have one.
I got the eel guy's mine. So Dan,
it might be the greatest Jag I've ever had. I wish I would have gotten a pitcher. Do you have one, Ryan?
I was just gonna say the guy that told me like you can't hurt the fish.
That's fair.
Like piping in when he should have been like, sitting quietly while watching me like do my thing, Yeah.
So going to Ross Park Mall today. I always stop at the Glassmere's up there right by Stanford's, the gas station.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? BP, right? It's still BP. But I call it Glassmere's because it's whatever.
That's like what the building's called,
Yeah.
Like the gas is different than the building, which I never understand that. Just make it one big thing.
You pull off, what is that, 66 or whatever, and you pull down into it, and on the backside, there's that steep hill. You know what I'm talking about?
Down towards Stanford's, and you go left to John Eagle. Yeah.
So let me paint this picture for you. I'm pulling in to put gas in my wife's car, and I always stop there, get a can of snuff and a drink whenever I'm going to the mall or wherever. So I pull in, and I see this truck, flatbed, just chilling on the hill. I'm like, what the hell is going on here?
Right, perfectly stuck.
So I happen to, he's looking, and I hear this truck, the big diesel. I'm like, it's not going nowhere. Did he blow a trans or something? Like, what's going on here? Something's got to give. So I get out to pump my gas, and I look over. His back wheels aren't touching the ground. So his front wheels are almost at the crest of that hill to get into the Glassmere's parking lot. The back corner of his trailer is just buried. So he's got no power because his wheels are just spinning. So there's that rent equipment right across the street. It's the Stanford's. You can rent equipment and stuff. The guy's coming over with this big old fork truck, and he's trying to get him out. Can't get a grip or nothing. And I'm talking to him, and I'm like, well, I'm fork truck certified. I could probably get that thing out of there. No problem for him. But I left the situation because I don't want to get involved. And he's trying. Finally, the cop shows up, and she's stopping traffic everywhere. And I keep looking. I pump the gas a little extra slow. I was probably in that parking lot for like about 12 minutes, and he was still stuck. I went along my merry way. I don't know if he ever got out, but just the way he was just dug in there, coming up that hill, front tires on the ground, back of your trailer is, because it's a flatbed. It wasn't a gooseneck or nothing. It wasn't a fifth wheel. Just buried in there, and them tires are just going.
They probably had to go out in, like pull him out, not push it. Were they trying to push him up?
No. He was trying to drag. He was trying to lift up enough to get him off of the pavement. But I'm thinking to myself, if anybody out there has driven fork truck, if you pick something up and it's on a slope, it's going to slide at you. So that was my thing. I'm thinking he's going to lift him up.
It's going to come back.
Only the front wheels are going to be touching at that point. Not much brake power. It's going to slide at him. He's going to go down into a ditch through the guardrail. So it could have been a cluster fiasco. And I was like, I don't want to see this. I don't want to be around, but I kind of want to. It was like a train wreck. I couldn't look away.
Oh, yeah.
They had a chain. They were trying to yank on them first, and then they were trying to lift them. I think if you would have just pushed them a little bit, possibly, because them fork trucks have a lot of ass behind them. But yeah, it was a way to start, a Sunday morning. It was 10 o'clock in the morning. There's my Jag. Yeah, I haven't had a Jag in a while. That guy.
You gotta know, like, especially if you're from the area, which I assume he was. Like, you can't be going up there in a flatbed.
I can't remember what was on the side. It was like Value Furniture or something. It was something like that, but it wasn't Value Furniture. I can't remember what was on the side of his truck on the door. But I don't know if he was a rookie driver, rookie mistake. I don't know, but he looked embarrassed. he was very embarrassed.
Green.
Yeah, very green.
Was he standing outside like this? Or like,
so he's like I said, he's looking, he's not going anywhere, and you just hear it going, and he's looking, and he finally comes out, and he's like, you can just see all like fear in his face, and then he's like standing down at the bottom, where it's buried, just like looking, and he's just shaking his head, and like maybe that's his third strike. I don't know. If anybody's got information on that, let me know. I need the end to this story.
He's probably done it like 4 other times, just in different places. Yeah. He's just there like this every time.
Again, no.
He keeps going to different gas stations, and like every different one he goes to, he's just like caught.
But there's my Jag of the week.
That's a good one.
It's a good way to wrap today.
Yep.
There's no beating that one, even if I had one. I don't think there's not. That's like a good once in a week or once in a year situation, once every couple of years situation.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's episode 47. So why don't you say we wrap it up, huh?
Yep.
Yeah. Like, subscribe. We're at like 334. We jumped a nice, decent bit this week. So we'll see you guys next week. Tune into our stuff.